Next up, we're rounding out the main card with a fascinating bantamweight scrap. Seems to be the talk of the Twitter streets. And if you're excited to break down this bantamweight matchup like I am, make sure you drop a like on this video. But with that being said, we got Christian Ceerod Rodriguez coming back to take on Cameron Saaiman. And we've got Cameron Saaiman building some momentum in the UFC. He's got 3 wins now under his belt. He beat Terrence Mitchell. He beat Manny Martinez. He beat Steven Kozlow. But all of them, he had to go out there and earn it. The Terrence Mitchell one was a little bit of a gimme, but they had some competitive, exchanges in the early going, and then it was just quickly a wrap once he got to the top position on the floor. Manny Martinez gave him a run for his money, but he was able to subdue him with his wrestling there, and also by hurting Manny, if my memory serves. Steven Kozlow, I think he fouled him a number of times, but I do think that he also was able to get the finish in that fight. So Cameron Saaiman, he's done a pretty good job, building himself up. But I do think that it's interesting that he's finally fighting without our guy Dricus on the card. Dricus has been on the card when he fought at UFC 290. He was on the card when he fought at UFC 285, I believe. Yes, that's correct. And I believe the same is true for UFC 282. Yes, it is. So in every case, Dricus du Plessis has been on the card with him before, and he's like a young DDP. He's looking up to the guy. They train at the same gym. DDP is obviously who you're going to train and emulate to be like if he's the best guy coming out of your gym when you're a youth. So I think that we're looking at, DDP Jr. And what does that mean? It means that he's a little bit awkward at times. It means he can make some mistakes. And it means that he's probably on all the steroids known to mankind. Now, when you look at a guy like Ceerod, Christian Rodriguez, he's a very talented fighter. The loss to Jonathan Pierce, I think everybody can forgive, because Jonathan Pierce, up a weight class from him, very dynamic guy, difficult for many guys to deal with at 145 pounds. The win over Joshua Weems, I'm not sure it means much to people, but it does show he's capable of finishing. The red flag is last time out, he did miss weight by 2.5 pounds against his opponent, Raul Rosas Jr., and he also dominated that fight as a plus 200 underdog, which is extremely impressive. But despite being in great positions, despite being in damaging positions, he wasn't able to get the finish. And I did think that was mildly concerning. I thought that it would have been a better look for him, and he probably would have shot right up the rankings, in terms of public perception, if he was able to get the finish there as well over Raul Rosas. But he was able to beat Reyes Cortez on the Contender Series back in the day. Charlampos Gregorio, a guy who just won on Contender Series and got signed to the UFC. So he's fought a pretty solid level of competition prior to getting to the organization. And in the UFC, Raul Rosas Jr. just went out there and showed, against Terrence Mitchell, common opponent to Cameron Saaiman, that he could deal with him easily in the first round, knock him out, knock him all over the place. So the Saaiman win, while impressive and while it was first, it was shown to be replicable by other guys in the division. So I think that this is a spot where both guys are going to be interesting prospects. You look at the 22-year-old Cameron Saaiman taking on the 25-year-old in Christian Rodriguez, and I do think that Christian Rodriguez is strong. I think he's physically developed, and I think that, one concern for a 22-year-old is just that they might not have that full access to man strength that a guy like Ceerod, you would have to expect going on 26 years of age, would clearly have by now. For a guy like Ceerod as well, he is coming into this matchup with a sneaky 4-inch reach advantage on paper, 71-inch reach compared to just 67-inch reach for Cameron Saaiman. So despite having a 1-inch height disadvantage, he's going to be 3 years older here, have a 4-inch reach advantage. And it seems like on Tapology, most votes are coming in heavily on the Saaiman side, but we're actually seeing Christian Rodriguez favored in the betting markets here. Christian Rodriguez, let me click over to the odds here, folks. Christian Rodriguez sitting around a minus 143 betting favorite across the market here. And, I kind of understand why Ceerod is favored. Do I think it's a little bit bullish? Yeah, I would probably put it at like a minus 125. Just again, this is instinctually off gut lean. This is not after taping it and looking at every detail of the matchup, but my instinctual feel here is a minus 125 Ceerod. Give the guys a little bit older and has the better wins in the UFC, the slight favorite distinction, book the even money on a popular underdog, probably in Cameron Saaiman. But I do also think that when you're looking at MMA Twitter, it is replete with people that are vocally supporting Ceerod, parting ways with their money. The line is not reflecting that. So unless there's a bevy of South African money in the market, unless there's a bunch of sharp money in the market already on the other side, I'm curious why the book is not respecting the known, and touted action coming in on the Ceerod side. So for me, this is one that I'll be watching the market throughout the week as well. I'm curious to see how this fight plays out from a market dynamic standpoint. But you got two guys that are both 9 wins, in their professional career. So they're still young in the game. They have some, amateur experience as well to tout on the Christian Rodriguez side. Cameron Saaiman, he's also an undefeated amateur, undefeated as a professional. So Cameron Saaiman, he's never lost a fight, right? He's done a very good job going out there and getting wins. So it's hard to fade him, at significant chalk prices. But Ceerod is a very good fighter. So listen, I understand people coming in both ways, but here's the other thing. We're seeing a market dynamic where Ceerod, his last fight was a plus 200 underdog, and people were not wanting to be on his side. And now he's a minus 143 favorite, and everybody does want to be on his side. So I do think that should cause some speculation, at least that, some introspection, right? You want to just make sure you really consider the play before you fire when the market dynamics look like that.